What if you could draw anime style effects directly into your 3D animation? In this video, I'll show you how I use grease pencil in Blender to sketch impact frames and speed streaks straight onto my camera view, making the action explode off the screen. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create stylized 2D effects by sketching directly over the camera view, plus some quick tips on grease pencil use cases along the way. I'll be walking you through the exact method I use for my Cyberpunk Rickshaw Portal Warp animation, created for the Rampage Rally 3D challenge, which had fast, dynamic camera moves already built in. Most grease pencil tutorials focus on pure 2D animation, but when you draw right on your camera view, you merge 2D effects with 3D animation. It's perfect for fight scenes, racing, or anything that needs more punch. I've always loved this 2D, 3D hybrid style. If you look at my reference sheet here, you'll see the shows and films that inspired me. From the Spider-Verse movies to Arcane to Blue-Eyed Samurai. All of them integrate that raw comic book aesthetic in ways that really stand out. Since this was a time-constrained entry, I had to keep things snappy. But if you're working on your own project, you can push the details much further and really build out the scene. Now, let's jump into the breakdown. Before starting the grease pencil workflow, I already had my base animation ready, as you can see here. The following section is a quick refresher. I'll go over a few grease pencil techniques I use consistently throughout this tutorial. For demonstration, I've created a simple vehicle shape and added a blank grease pencil object. Let's select the grease pencil, switch to draw mode, and select the stroke placement to surface with a slight offset. This allows me to draw directly on top of meshes. And it works perfectly in camera view as well. Another option is to use the 3D cursor. You can place it anywhere with Shift plus right click. For example, let's imagine this sphere here is a wheel. I want to create streaks that convey motion along this direction. If I switch to side view and look at the gizmo, I can see it's aligned to the ZX axis. So I'll choose that axis, and now, no matter how I move the camera, my strokes always stay locked to the ZX axis. This is especially important when sketching from camera view. If I press 0 and go to camera view and place a 3D cursor with Shift plus right click, I can quickly choose where my strokes will appear. Also, if I set the axis to ZY, I can draw something like a hat floating above the object. Or, if I switch the stroke placement to view, I'll be drawing on a plane parallel to the camera. And this is how we'll be sketching our effects in this project. Now let's get to the fun part, sketching the effects directly in the camera view. First, make sure you enable auto keying so every new drawing is added as a keyframe automatically. You'll notice that I'm using the Mark 3D cursor along a plane technique consistently. This lets me sketch inside the 3D space while staying locked to the camera view. It's super useful for making effects that really feel like they belong in the scene. I also recommend turning on onion skinning so you can see your previous strokes as you draw frame by frame. Sometimes, objects in the 3D scene can interfere with your sketches. When that happens, I'll either change the drawing axis or swap to view mode to get the effects positioned correctly. Now, let's move on to the impact frames. These are where you want to create bold, confident, exaggerated strokes. I often switch to view mode here and there for more control. In this shot, I layered sharp outlines with stylized orbs to emphasize the motion burst. Don't be afraid to experiment. I went through a few iterations until the visuals felt right. Sometimes, just changing the color or stroke thickness can completely change the energy of the impact. And that's the core of the FX sketching workflow. Working frame by frame, staying in the camera view, and adjusting modes when needed. And that's it. We took a simple 3D animation and brought it to life with anime style effects, drawn directly into the camera view using Grease Pencil. This workflow was a huge help for my Rampage Rally entry, but it's also a method you can adapt for fight scenes, racing short, or any fast-paced animation. If you found this helpful, hit like and subscribe. I'd love to see what kind of projects you apply this and share your own experiments too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.